Now, he's a prolific inventor who believes in seeing an idea through from start to finish, cutting his inventing teeth in 2004 on a jet helicopter, a jet engine and a gyro-plane which he built single-handedly. That earned Regnault Bamiji, a former army officer, a valued membership of the Aircraft Builders, Owners and Pilots Association in the US, as well as membership of the expert group in rocketry at the Nigerian Space Agency NASRDA. Since then, Mr. Bamiji has gone on to build a prototype robot controlled by light and sound effects, which earned him the award of Master Robot Builder from the Robotics and Science Kits organization in California. And more recently, he's invented a power-generating system that operates without fuel, which is awaiting a US patent, or he might have already got it. He's also created a capacitor-powered vehicle which uses the mechanical heat energies generated by its wheels to keep its capacitor and DC storage fully charged all the time. And the best part of it all is he's Nigerian. Before we speak to him, let's take a look at some of his inventions.
We are seeing here is a self-reliant fuelless power generator. As we can see, it has two compartments. This particular compartment or unit is where power is being generated. There is a system of permanent magnet rotating at a very high speed, spinning at almost 3,600 RPM to generate a DC voltage. And this DC voltage is then multiplied in the system with our device inside called Chisel, and it can multiply to 96 from 12 volt to 96 volt DC. And when such voltage is generated, is stored. And here we look at the power supply unit. The power supply unit is made of capacitors and other components. Mostly capacitors do not store energy for a very long time. But what we do here is still supply electricity to your home. So what we do, we connect this system, the power generating unit, to the power supply through this cable. And when we connect it through this cable to the back here, it enters through here. Now when it enters through here, it continues to supply the capacitors. And capacitors can be charging and supplying at the same time. So this system can continue working 24 hours non-stop. And the unique thing about the system is that while it's operating and supplying energy, voltage doesn't drop. Instead, voltage will be rising because it's generating and storing.
Well, I'm delighted to welcome the inventor Regnault Bamiji to our studios. I tell you what, you're buying all the drinks tonight. Surely you've made a lot of money out of it. But thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much.
It's great to see you again. The first time I met you was, I think it was 2003, 2004.
Correct.
When you had just built your helicopter.
That's very true.
I came from London,
Yes.
I drove to Jos and saw you actually doing your stuff with your helicopter. And I was absolutely amazed. And since that time, you've created a lot more.
That's very
Tell
true.
us how the journey has been.
Well, the journey has not been easy because number one, there are no sponsors. And I am the kind of person that I'm so determined. I don't care about how the money comes, but I'm so determined to ensure the moment I decide to do something, I must achieve it. I won't give up. So, well, when their supports are not coming, I continue with many of these inventions, researching, and that's how I came about the car
came about, this generator, and the recent one you just saw now, which is, I finished this about a few months ago, and in fact, it's a very unique system. What you see here, the two systems there can solve the problem of electricity in this country. Because what we do with this new system we have here, we can build it into megawatts, and then it will be community by community supply. For example, we look at this community, how many megawatts do they need? So what we do now, we build and drop.
So it's very specific to that community. Right.
Now go to another. So it helps and to eliminate the idea of maybe a hydro station transmitting from one place to another. But with this one now, we can just build it, drop it there, and everybody pull it to his house.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, and is anybody talking to you about this in Nigeria?
Yeah, we have entered into several partnerships, but recently I have decided to go into mini assembling plants. We want to start producing ourselves within the country.
That's where you formed your company, Glimpse,
yes, Glimpse Industries. Right. And we have also partnered with a company called Novacraft. I'm the MD of that company too, right. Novacraft. So we are partnering together to see how we will start producing those things locally and then reaching out to people with it. Because we have a lot of problems here, issue of power.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I would think that apart from the fact that there are power problems,
yes,
the fact that you're a Nigerian,
yes,
and I know that your equipment, a lot of the stuff you've invented has been tested internationally and found to have met international standards, because you've received a lot of certificates, some of which I have seen.
Yes.
Beyond that fact, you're a Nigerian.
Correct.
And I mean, you can't develop a country without science and technology.
Yeah,
absolutely essential, and to have your own homegrown science and technology keeps the wealth within the country. Now, I'm just wondering, how did you arrive here? You didn't come with your car or something?
No, I came with a normal car.
Okay, right. And you didn't sort of fly in on your helicopter?
No, I didn't fly.
Right. and how long have you been inventing things and sort of tinkering around? I mean, you were an army officer.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, while in the army, I actually discovered, the moment I was able to discover my gift, where I belong. Because I discovered I don't belong to the army. I'm not having the satisfaction in the army. While in the army, I started building the jet helicopter in my garage. That was in Enugu then, 82 Division. I started building the aircraft there. But eventually,
you were part of 82.
82, yes.
The people who built a gate across.
Yes, that's correct. across the road
to the airport.
That is true. But in fact, I have to start building it from there. I couldn't cope with the army and all those things. So I have to move along with my gift. Because to remain in the army, well, I will grow. My mates have been generals now in the army, but the issue is that even if I've grown to be a general in the army, I still will not have that satisfaction. My satisfaction is in my invention. It gave me so much joy. Well,
I have to be honest with you. We are very, very glad that you went with the inventions.
Yes.
I mean, the army is obviously important in its own way, but the inventions absolutely critical, to development. And I like the idea of a car that is fuel-less.
That's correct.
And uses the mechanical heat generated by its wheels to keep itself fully charged all the time. I mean, especially in today's world where we're talking about, climate change and fossil fuels and of course the possibility that Nigeria will run out of oil at some point. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, I look at our own environment, particularly in Africa. We have been hearing about this electric car and the rest. Those electric cars in most of those developed countries cannot operate here because we don't have the charging stations.
And if we're looking at your car now on the screen.
And now if we are supposed to operate it in Nigeria, we have to devise a mechanism where it's supposed to fit into our society.
Yes.
That's why I decided to go into that invention, looking for a way where the car will be charging itself. Now, the wheels will be charging while the car is moving. Now, when the car is stationary, there's a static charging system also in the car. Like maybe you're in a hold-up or anything, then it will also be charging at the same time. The moment you start moving, that one goes off and the wheels takes over.
But have you talked to big car manufacturers? I mean, you've got Innocence and a lot of people like that in Nigeria.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have a discussion one time with the company I'm partially working with as the Nova Crafts, and they were making efforts to maybe meet with most of these Innocent and the rest of the people. But to be sincere with you, to me, I felt because
you want to do your own thing.
I want to do it in my own way.
I understand that. You don't want somebody else taking over what
No, we can bring in people to work with us.
Yes, and how many inventions have there been now in total that you've made?
Yeah, now
I mean, the first one was the jet helicopter.
The jet helicopter.
Right.
We have about 8 of them now, including this last one you've seen. This is the 8th one now. Well, you know what I decided to do?
So what do you do? Wake up in the morning and say, right, today it's going to be a generator?
No, okay, like for example, about 2 weeks ago, we are on the dining table eating with my wife, and she said, Daddy, I am tired of buying kerosene. I am tired of, I can't be buying gas. Do something about this. And I said, no problem, give me something. And then eventually we came up with a cooking device. Now you don't need.
Is your wife still the same person that I met when I came?
No, I didn't change. She's the same person you met.
Okay.
So then she said, okay, go think of something like that. Eventually we did, the following and said, give me some little time. After a few days, I said, look, we are going to produce it. Now you don't need NEPA, you don't need gas, you don't need kerosene, you don't need anything. Just there you on it, finish your cooking and go off.
Okay, let me ask you to hold on. We're going to talk some more about this.
Okay.
You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with the prolific Nigerian inventor and former army officer Regnault Bamiji. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Anyegolu. My guest in this segment of the program is a former military officer and currently president and founder of Glims Industries Limited, Regnault Bamiji, who is a respected inventor, astronomer, roboticist, pilot and aviation mechanic. Regnault holds 36 aviation certificates, from pilot instrument proficiency to aviation maintenance. Among his creations are a jet helicopter, a jet engine, a gyro-plane, a self-charging electric car, a self-charging power generator, and a magnet battery charger, to mention a few. In 2003, he built and flew his jet helicopter and gyroplane successfully and was commended by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. But it's not just his inventions. Mr. Bamiji is keen to see more scientists and inventors across Nigeria, like these 3 young men whose creative inventions have taken them beyond the shores of Nigeria. Take a listen.
My name is Ubaid Rahman Suleiman. I'm from Kano State.
My name is Abdulhafiz Adebayo. I'm from Kaduna State.
My name is Mustafa Sani. I'm from Daura, Katsina State. We are undergraduate students of Bayero University, Kano, and we are currently in the Hall Prize Accelerator in United Kingdom. We are among the top 40 finalists in the world's largest student competition. We qualified out of a pool of 250,000 students across the world. We are hoping to qualify for the top 6 and pitch our endeavor at the United Nations for the $1 million cash prize. We developed a solar technology that transforms agricultural waste into smokeless, long-burning charcoal briquettes for Nigerian households. We use our technology to reduce unemployment by empowering youth in rural Nigeria. We noticed that there is huge youth unemployment in rural communities in Nigeria, and these same communities produce enormous agricultural waste from farming, which are burnt or left to rot. Our technology connects these 2 problems in a long-lasting solution. Our charcoal briquette serves as a reliable alternative to charcoal, with its 1.7 million trees cut down daily in Nigeria for its production. Our solution has the potential to save more than 25 million trees in 10 years. We are currently running the pilot of our project Kura, Kano State, where we created 3 jobs and we also closed down sites where the farmers dump crop waste. During our pilot, we were able to provide our smokeless charcoal briquettes for 35 households.
We are now seeking the help of Nigerians to embark on this journey with us by supporting us in developing our technology, because we cannot do this alone. If successful in this competition, our technology will create 10,000 jobs for Nigerians in just 10 years. We are asking you to please share and repost. Brightcoal is a solution whose time has come. Join us.
And that's 3 young men who are doing extraordinary things around the world. And of course, a man who's been doing those extraordinary things for a long time is Regnault Bamiji, the Nigerian inventor and former army officer. And he's with me in the studio. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Charles.
And I could see you smiling when we were looking at that.
Yes.
That would have taken you back to your student days.
Yes.
And let me ask you this. I mean, were you very bright as a student in school? I mean, were you into science subjects and things like that?
Yeah, actually, I'm into science subjects, but I cannot just say maybe I'm too brilliant. I'm just the way I am.
Right.
But to me, I felt it's not the issue of being brilliant or anything. I felt it's a special gift. I'm working on my gift to achieve such things. It's not the issue of whether one is so brilliant in the school, but I know school added a bit, but it's not the issue of being too brilliant. It's the issue of using the gift that God has given me.
And I mean, just looking at those 3 young men and what they're clearly doing, which has taken them, I mean, they made that video from the UK.
Yes.
It's taken them international, as it has also taken you. You've got like certificates from the Robotics Association and all that from the US. I mean, did you find that growing up, you know, in this Nigerian environment encouraged or discouraged you to become an inventor?
Actually, all over the world, to be an inventor is not an easy venture. Talk less of our own environment. But the government are not even actually helping matters. They are not. Because the government will come, look at a project like this, they broadcast it, and that is all. Nothing happened further. But I don't want to go that direction. That's why I'm looking at individuals, people that are like-minded, that we can put our heads together to ensure that we succeed in this thing. What they are doing actually is good, but well, we are still talking about the ozone layer. What they did not solve the issue of ozone layer. Instead, it added more problem. But we kudos to them. They have actually tried.
And as I said, I mean, you in that context, you found growing up in Nigeria, you found it to be a challenge, basically.
It is a real challenge.
Of doing the sort of work that you're doing.
A real because hardly people will believe it. When I started building my aircraft, you know, many people were laughing at me. What is he doing? Every day would come and ask me, has he flown? No, all ways of discouragement. Nobody comes to say, okay, let me encourage you. Let me encourage you. I started building that aircraft with nothing, with 30,000 naira. And that 30,000 naira was given to my wife for a business. She gave me. We put it there. I wasn't going to anybody. Anywhere I get little money, like 10,000 now, 9,000 we go to it. And I tell my wife, let's tie our stomach. We used 1,000. That's how we started.
That's determination.
That is the determination. So if we are looking at the government, it will not help. It will help.
Although I think it's important to be looking at that, and hopefully somebody interesting is watching
with the present government, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that beyond your inventions, you're also showing how important it is to be a determined person. And you've managed to turn those things that were probably disadvantages into advantages.
Sure. You know, there are a lot of discouragement, but apart from that, you know, if you are determined to achieve something, you don't worry about the obstacles. You don't bother about, no matter how the obstacle comes, all you are looking at is the goal.
But I mean, the challenge in your case as well, which I imagine would have taken you to the heights of enthusiasm,
Yes.
and then to the depths of disappointment.
Sure.
Because you were telling me during the break,
Yes.
because I remember meeting you during the regime
Yes.
of
Obasanjo, that's true.
and I remember I was actually doing a documentary on the space agency,
Yes.
and that was, they had mentioned you. And so we went to see you and
Yes.
see what you had built.
Yes.
And President Obasanjo made money available for
Sure.
your stuff to be developed,
did.
but it never quite happened.
It never
What was
happened.
the story there?
Well, we don't want to say the story here. I think we
Was
just...
it a change of government?
No,
lack
actually,
of continuity?
it wasn't even the change
money
of
being
government.
embezzled? I mean,
It was the same government.
Right.
Something happened along the line. Something happened. I don't want just to go into the depth of it.
And do you, when you create these things, do you become like a man obsessed? I mean, you're sort of sitting there,
Sure.
you don't want anybody to interrupt you,
Sure.
and it's like, I'm trying to get something to work, and I don't want to be interrupted.
Sure. Even my wife, she does not interrupt. The moment she see me
You mean
in
she
that
wouldn't
mood,
dare it?
No, she won't. She won't. She understands it very, because she's very, very supportive. So she understood it very well. So she give me all the support. And when I'm telling her I'm into this, what she does is she give me the support very well.
But does it strike you that for a country desperate to expand its manufacturing base like Nigeria, I mean, every time you listen to successive presidents come out and say, we want to grow our manufacturing sector, we want to do this, empower Nigerians. I mean, you would have thought that they would by now be aggressively courting you.
Yeah, the issue is that even the government might be very interested, but the people working with the government, they might not be interested.
They don't follow things.
What they might be interested is just the money that comes in. They're not interested, but the government might be very, very interesting. It's just the people that will work with the government, and the people that will work with the inventors.
But what about investors? I mean, private investors.
Yeah, that's the direction we have taken now. That's the direction we have taken, and we are having a lot of investors coming in now. And that's why we are looking at the direction of having our assembling plant. We'll bring out all these things within a very short time.
And you're confident that your inventions can potentially be commercial successes?
Sure. As I speak to you now in Angola, I've just spoken with them today. They are making replans for us. In the US, there are also people I've been talking with, and they are saying we should. The agreement they sent, but I've not yet signed with them yet, because we have a lot of potential with these projects.
Well, Regnault, Bamiji, I wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
And keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you,
Never relent.
No, I won't.
Regnault Bamiji, the prolific Nigerian inventor.
Thank you.
Well,
very
that's
much,
it for this edition of The Arise Interview. Join us again for a fresh edition tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.